Okay, so the last thing I want to do is I want to go through and pull up a guild fight, or a team that may not be as strong, that would be something you could use on like stage 1 as an example. Because this is something that I didn't go over in my video, and I probably should have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a brand new team, and we're just going to call this team DPS. I'm apparently in caps lock. DPS. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a team of non-elemental damage dealers that their only goal is to deal as much damage as humanly possible. I don't care where those sources come from. I don't care how much damage it is. I'm just trying to deal as much damage as I possibly can with the characters that I'm bringing on, right? And it's got to be non-elemental. So for this case, I'm using Sephiroth because Sephiroth, again, has high magic attack, has a magic non-elemental weapon. If you don't have this one, he has other options. This is also a very good option, the Shinra Blade Model 1. If you have this at OB6, it does 780%, which is pretty good. Mine is not. It's at 600% right now. So, which is not much higher than this. I think this is also 600%, but it does 30% more. So that's about what an OB6 shock blade would look like anyways. I actually think that's directly what that would look like. I think it's exactly the same, right? Because 30% of 600% is 180, right? So that would be 780%. It's literally the exact same, right? It's the exact same. So if you have this at OB6, it's exactly the same as an OB1 to OB5 Protector's Blade in terms of just raw damage, right? So don't think that this is all of a sudden super, super good. If you have a lot of copies of this weapon, it'll work just fine, which you may. This has been in the pool for Sephiroth since he released. So you may have a ton of these. So make sure you check around, look at your other options. There are weapons that deal damage, that are non-elemental damage weapons, right? That deal a decent chunk of damage. So just look around, try to find something that works for you. So we're gonna go ahead, and I'm not gonna give him anything that's like super broken or overpowered here. Let's give him Electro Cannon, right? Which is something that most people should probably have a couple of copies of. Let's go down and pull here. I'll use Power Soul just to give him some more magic ability potency. And then we'll do maybe Snowflake just to max out his magic attack. Sure. And all those weapons are less than OB6, right? None of them are super strong. They're good weapons, obviously, but none of them are like ridiculously overpowered. And I won't even use his ultimate weapon. We'll just keep him like right here. And then, so another character that might have a decent magic non-elemental attack would be, maybe I just take the Power Soul off of, yeah, let's do that. Let's take the Power Soul off here and give him, oh, that'll work. It's OB6 though. Let's, I can do this. Oh, this'll work. Just attack and boost magic ability potency. That doesn't drop me off anywhere, does it? No. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that'll work. And it's level 70, even better. And then for Tifa, we'll give her the Power Soul in her main hand. Oh, but you don't even have to put it in the main hand. We'll put it in the offhand. We'll put it in the offhand just because I said we could. And then in her main hand, we'll give her something that gives decent magic attack. So let's say, how about Tiger Fangs? Gives magic attack and crit potency. I'm down for that. And then we'll give her one of the outfits that she would normally have that you may have pulled for. Let's say, just for argument's sake, that she's got the Bunny Buster. Assuming people pulled for the Bunny Buster, right? Gives her some magic ability potency. We'll give her her Dolphin Blow, because everybody should have access to that. The other magic attack materials. Probably Crystal Cross. I think that does it exactly, actually. I'm down for that. Perfect. There you go. So 92,000 power there. And let's say you don't have a third magic attack damage dealer, but you love Cloud. And you got Cloud's new outfit. And you've got Cloud's new sword. And that's what you're able to rock with. This is what you've got. This is the thing you have access to. That's how we're going to play it. We're just going to give him something else that gives physical attack up, basically. Here, we'll say Zidane's sword, just for argument's sake. We're going to give him Glim Hazard. We're going to give him all of the best physical attack things we can give, which might just include that materia I just cooked, actually. So why don't we go take a look at that really quick before I finish this. Oh, it is higher. There you go. There you go. And then again, we're just gonna give him physical attack, increasing weapons. So we're gonna look for specifically filter our ability. We want physical attack, and we want physical ability potency. So any weapons that do that is what we're looking for. So let's say we give him this Killer Hornet. Where am I at right now? 28 and 34. Let's give him, we'll use Dark Heavens. Gets us up to physical attack 48. We do want to get a little bit more attack potency. I'll bend the knee here and go with the enemy launcher here, and we'll stick at 39. So let's say you've got your gear score at 39. This is about the team you're looking at. There are a couple of things that you want to focus on, right? So for me in particular, I focus just on our abilities there, right? Just on our abilities alone. I didn't look at anything else. I was just looking at our abilities. I was trying to get my stats up as high as possible, right? Now I've maximized my damage. Where are my weaknesses, right? Right now, I don't have anything to debuff the opponent's magic defense and defense, right? So I don't have any debuffs right now. So I could look at breach materia. I could look at mana breach materias as well and try to roll some of those to increase some of their potency and see if I can do that. Or as an example, if I do have something like, say, the Kaiser Knuckles, right? And I have the access to Key Trap, and that lowers magic defense high, then I'm just gonna use that, right? I'm gonna use whatever I have available, right? So if that's Tifa, and Tifa has that access available, and you're able to get then, you know, your magic ability potency to 47, you're able to get this magic defense buff for your Sephiroth to do more damage, great, right? Great, whatever. Right now I don't have any forms of magic attack up, so maybe instead of this edged wings that I have, I'll go in this Aonibi that has a magic attack buff for Sephiroth, right? It's gonna lower his magic attack a little bit, but that +3 magic that he's gonna get from this will make this do a lot more damage, right? And since Cloud is the only physical source on my team, I don't really care if they've got physical defense down, right? That's not what our focus is. This is where our damage focus is. If you have a physical team and you're focused on an OB10 Cloud that you went all in on, right? Make sure you've got physical defense down, you know? Equip yourselves to deal with the threat how your team manages best, right? So I'm only putting in physical ability potency, physical attack, and then attack. I just want Cloud to DPS. His whole point is DPS. Sephiroth, same thing. I just want him to DPS. I gave him magic attack. I gave him magic ability potency. I want him to do damage, right? Tifa, same thing. I'm giving her all magic attack, magic ability potency, right? I want her to do as much magic damage as possible. But the caveat is, since I know she's my sub DPS, Sephiroth's my main, since I know she's doing less damage than Sephiroth is, I gave her the debuffing tool to make sure that we're doing the most amount of damage as possible. If you do not have access to Key Trap, you could look at the Feathered Gloves, right? At OB1, or at I think OB0 even. Let me double check. Yeah, at OB0, this lowers magic defense mid. This is perfect. You could run this perfectly fine. If you have one copy of Feathered Gloves, you're fine. I think even Kaiser Knuckles at OB0 is a mid debuff. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's gonna be high. It's gonna change how much damage I'm doing, but that's not the point, right? So we're going into stage 1. This is our squad. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but I'm rocking with the best stuff that I have available, right? All of the strategies stay exactly the same. Exactly the same. So you're going over here to Sephiroth, first and foremost, and you're buffing his magic attack. Then you're gonna stop for a second, use Key Trap to lower the defense, and let Cloud just pop off. Now wait for this diamond to fill, just like before, and DPS. Just DPS across the board. Just keep going. DPS. And so Cloud free energy probably does more damage. And just keep DPSing. That's all you're doing. You're just trying to do as much damage as possible. I'm not worried about my HP. I'm not worried about my defenses going down. This guy is not going to hurt you, right? He does not do enough damage. So just DPS this guy. Keep going. Looks like its magic defense needs to be lowered again. Go ahead and lower its magic defense. Pop off. And just rinse and repeat. Keep using everything you've got. Got all of our limit breaks. Now, same thing that we did before. We're going to go ahead and buff our magic attack here. We're going to interrupt his transition into the Mega Flare with all of our limit breaks. So keep moving all your stuff around, keep doing all the damage, do as much damage as you can. So he's going to do the Forest Aura, that's fine, or the Dark Aura rather. Make sure you've got your buffs up. Second he does that, you use one of your limit breaks. Limit break. I think he got it off that time. It looks like he did. So again, just use all of your abilities, use everything. Pop off, pop off, pop off. And then before this goes off, I'm going to use my last limit break. He's not even going to get to cast Mega Flare. It's over. Well, the match is over, but he still gets to cast Mega Flare for some reason. But here you go. I did no defensive buffs. I wasn't on defense. It did 900 damage. Nothing. And then what was the result of us doing that? 54%. Right? Now, obviously, again, my buff score is very high. But you saw, right? There wasn't a lot of damage on my weapons, right? I wasn't using high overboost weapons. There are options there for y'all to use. I was using a physical damage dealer, which isn't even the most efficient way to fight this fight. And Cloud was still doing decent amount of damage. And remember that Cloud's weapon was OB1 and OB2 are those two Cloud weapons. I didn't have massive overboosted weapons on the sub slots, but as long as you've got a decent gear score, which is really where all the damage comes from in these fights, right? If you've got a gear score in the teens and you're seeing yourself only doing 10% damage, that's intended. The game is meant to, that's what it's supposed to do to you. This is meant to be a reward and a challenge for the folks who have been playing since day one, or the folks who spend money on the game and pull for everything, right? So like your damage is going to be a little bit lower until you start getting your account caught up, and then you will start to see your damage numbers rise, right? Over time. But for the time being, these are team battles, these are team events. Make sure you're working together with your guild to do the best that you can in this fight. These are not terribly complicated. This at least is not a terribly complicated fight. You can go in there with a relatively weak team like the one I just showed you, and you should be able to do really good damage to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, etc. Right? And then you should see your damage numbers increase as long as you follow that strategy, right? The strategy is simple. Lower the magic defense, do as much magic damage as possible, and just DPS. Do not ever defend on stage 1, right? As you go up in stages, if you find that you're knocking out stage 1 in one hit, if you go to stage 2, mock battle it. See if you can do the same thing, right? Go through with the same team. If this is still your same squad, you go back into this fight with your mock battle. And remember, you got 24 hours now between mock or official matches now to test this out again. So you can make sure that you did it right the first time, right? So here we go. We're just gonna magic attack. Here we go, magic attack here. We're gonna go ahead and get Cloud's haste going. Now we're not using an attack until this diamond is full. Tifa should use her magic defense down automatically anyways. She didn't, but that's fine. Go ahead and use it now. And then pop off. Just keep using all of your damage. And look, it's still not doing that much for damage. We barely took anything from that attack. We've already knocked its Mega Flare gauge all the way down. This is not a difficult fight. The only thing that you need to do is make sure that you're going in here prepared for your team to do the mass or the main amount of damage that you're looking for, right? And I'm actually going to do something I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm using all my limits right now. This is ill-advised because what it does is it makes it so that you're not using your regular attacks, right? You're not using your regular attacks. You shouldn't do this. You're not using your regular attacks. Your regular attacks are going to do more damage than your limit breaks most of the time because this is taking so much time off the clock. So much time off the clock. But there you go. There's another 1.1 million damage on the board, right? We've got it on the board now. We're doing all this damage. Here we go. Just keep damage. And by the way, if you don't have access to the Zidane sword, which is totally valid, it was a limited banner and you may not have played in the Final Fantasy IX banner, use the Buster Sword. The Buster Sword does 750% non-elemental damage. As long as you've got it at OB10, which you should have been able to do by doing all of the Crisis dungeons by now. So those are all options as well. I don't even think you need to come out of offensive mode here. I think you can actually stay in offensive mode. Take this Mega Flare to the face, does 2,000 damage. We don't get another attack off, so we get our last limit break. We never healed. We didn't even look at anything like regen or anything like that, 34%. So the strategy remains, regardless of the way that you do this, if you're building it a physical team, which is the less efficient way, or you're using a full magic team, which is the way they want you to do it, just make sure you're bringing a debuffing weapon that lowers the enemy's defense. Stay in offensive mode. Make sure you're doing as much damage as humanly possible. Whatever your highest non-elemental damage weapons are, just run in with those weapons and knock them out. Right? That's it. Plain and simple. So just go in with the massive amount of DPS as you can. Do as much damage as you possibly can. If you don't have access to these gears, and this is where you're losing all your money or all your stuff, and you've only got the free gears because you haven't had any luck in the gacha, you know, and your points are a little bit lower, this is the way that you get your score as high as possible, right? This is how you do it. This is how you do it. You just go in with your highest damage weapons, whatever they are. You go in with your highest damage weapons that can do the most damage that they can, and just go all in. And if that's where you're at, that's fine. That's why these lower level stages are there. This isn't a bad thing. We need folks to beat all of the bosses. Like this, everything needs to be hit. So if you're in a guild and you're sitting at level, what's a random number I can throw out here? If you're sitting at level 57, right? Player level 57, and you are only at 122,000 power, you're not expected to go into this and do 35% of the stage 1 boss. The sub weapons in this are just like focus DPS. That's it. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Just put on DPS. Don't worry about magic defense. Don't worry about physical defense, unless you're going down to here. You're doing stage 4, stage 5, then we need to talk, right? Talk about how we're putting in sub weapons that are, you know, maximizing our magic defense and our physical defense and our magic attack, and how we're trying to make sure we're not getting killed by certain like physical attacks during the thing, blah, 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 right? And try to hold your limit breaks until the end, right? So like in that example, I was using limit breaks that had low charge times. Use limit breaks that have higher charge times. So use cross slash, you know, use astral gate, right? And then use water kick, right? Use the ones that have higher charge rates, that have a little bit higher damage. This has 3,000 damage, right? I think all of them have at level 10 have 3,000 damage. Yeah. So use those instead. And then after the Mega Flare goes off, when it's at 0 seconds, pop all your limit breaks off at once. Get that extra damage in, and that's how you're going to help your guild out the best you can. And that's it. Piece of cake.